start streaming. Okay, that's us live again for another episode. So hi there, I'm Brooke from Stickmen Media and Desolate Spectre Studios, and Margaret, who's back again after a couple of days away at a entrepreneurial women in tech thing.
Entrepreneurial winning women.
Entrepreneurial winning women. So
but we still have Margaret.
We still did have Margaret. As you can see, she's on the background today, doing some weird sniffing. Well, that was me doing some weird sniffing. And we're joined by Linda, who's actually going to explain to us a little bit about the process of animation, or at least more in depth. And the reason we're looking at Margaret on the background at the moment is Margaret is our designated zombie, really. Being quite lithe and skinny, she can do all the bony things. She's quite agile. She can, get down low, get up high, all the rest of it, where I tend to creak when I try that sort of thing, as you can see happening in the background at the moment. So this is me giving Margaret direction, but totally relying on Margaret to do the right actions, with the full range of body movement that she can actually do. And this reference is used by Linda to actually create a zombie that pulls off the same sort of actions. Normally, we film this from two angles, so we film it from front on and we film it from side on, but on this particular day we didn't, and Linda did an awesome job anyway, just with that one reference video. So what I might do now is start off...
Twitch would be a really good idea.
Sorry?
We're not on Twitch yet. We've got Twitch running.
Oh, okay. We are streaming to Twitch, but we're not on Twitch.
We're still such noobs.
Okay, so where is Twitch? We need to make sure that... Yeah, okay.
The idea is these shafts of light breaking through the roof, so you just
now
go
we
to the
need to kill the
surface.
sound on that, so... we're going back to... Let's kill that. That's not actually video we want to show. We want to go on there. There we go. Alright, now we can actually see ourselves on Twitch and know what we're doing. Oh, once again, Ash versus the Evil Dead. Alright, so what I'll actually do now is start up...
Let's wait till this ad's gone.
Linda's
And we're
movie.
back.
That's it, isn't it? So... can't remember which one we watched there. There we go. I'll go across to this window and expand it. Put ourselves back on Twitch. Forgive all this, we now... Lost my mouse, there it is. Sorry, that took a bit of setting up. But yes, so this is Linda beginning to work on the zombie sniff animation based on Margaret's reference. So what's this screen that we're actually looking at there with all the colours on it?
This screen is in order to delete all the animation keyframes, because I was using this first pose same as the idle animation, so I need to...
So you set up the idle initially
Yeah.
for another thing, and now you've deleted that so that you can change it to this.
Yes.
Create this animation. Okay. And what are we selecting?
We found the video.
Ah, yes, Margaret's video. Should I actually speed up how fast that runs, or we'll just run it? That's fine. I could speed it up. I don't know how you do that.
Let's look at it running, eh? Unless we can find it quickly.
Well, the trick with this is I think we've got about 2 hours of video there. It would be nice to squash it into 1 hour of video.
Maybe we can jump.
Because the task took a little time.
Yeah, but for the first maybe 10 minutes, it's kind of like just set the keyframes so could just keep the original speed.
Okay. All right, so what we're now doing, so you've got the zombie out there and you're trying to match it up size-wise and
Yes.
approximate pose-wise to something Margaret's doing
Yeah.
there. So we can see Margaret in that video in the background, getting really low to the floor. I could not possibly do that. I would just fall on my face.
You're both looking up there.
Ah, yes.
Down here's really good.
Down there's really good, but it's offset by a couple of seconds. So we really need to narrate to the one on the wall while looking at the camera, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. So so you're creating a keyframe here. So this is your first keyframe. You're just getting everything lined up for. Is
Yeah,
it?
just keep the first pose same as the idol animation or
Mhm.
Sunny animation anyway, and then we could just play the video and drag the time slide and see, just choose one of the key pose. Then we just adjust the skeleton
Mm-hmm.
to the similar or same pose like the Margaret did.
So I keep seeing you returning to the same frame. Is that the frame you ended up using as your first?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
No, I haven't changed anything. Yeah, I'm still.
Still watching and laughing at this stage.
Oh yeah. No, I'm serious. I never laughed at you. I love you.
Yes, I love you too. It's okay to laugh.
Okay. So this is quite fascinating. I suppose some people are aware of motion capture, and you would sort of expect to see Margaret there wearing green lycra suit and covered in white dots. But in fact, that's not what we do. For the most part, our experience has been that motion capture takes an awful lot of tidying up, and we can get pretty good results just doing this sort of rotoscoping technique.
Yeah, the best way is if we can shoot like a two-side view, front view and side view,
Mm-hmm.
but it's okay to be just a front view because we could follow the animation reference, and if you don't know what's the side view position or the rotate value, then you could just play again and use your own body to play the same pose, and you can know what kind of pose it could be.
Okay, so if we don't get orthographic
Yes.
videos, you can actually work around by doing it yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
That's very useful.
It's great until we get some acrobats in or something.
And also for the because for our zombie, the first pose is not same as the Margaret did the first pose, so we are not going to change the legs, but we try to make confident. How can I say? Try to make the right pose for the zombie, just same as the back reference, and just to fix the legs part. But for the upper body is kind of like just totally similar as the reference.
Okay. I'm just going to step out for a minute because I realised I put the battery on my laptop. So carry on.
What should I say?
So where are we at now? So you've got the first pose.
Yeah, just like choose a very key time,
Mm-hmm.
and we adjust the zombie pose just as yours,
Mm-hmm.
and then we will play from the beginning and see what's the difference and make it just smoothly.
Yep. And then adjust
Yes,
as you go through.
as possible.
Yep. Cool.
Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, I noticed my laptop kept wanting to go to sleep, and I wondered why, and it was because I was on battery. So,
It's because just after lunch.
That is no doubt the problem.
yeah.
Definitely my problem.
Just close
It's
Twitch,
possibly
which
not my
wasn't
biggest
smart.
problem.
Yeah, okay. We are back. And get rid of all the things I just opened accidentally.
Don't close the wrong one. Or the right one.
Yes. No, you can't miss that. It's got... Oh, this one's not Ash versus the Evil Dead. This one's Tomb Raider. Waiting for us. Okay, so back to our stuff. Actually we can see we're getting doing a keyframe that's quite deep now in that thing.
Yeah, we have 3 keyframes now.
Okay, so between keyframes, it's actually the software is actually creating the frames that are in between, right? And I guess that's what people need to understand. We don't have to animate every frame.
Yeah.
We just take significant frames and animate them
and
set them up. And then between those frames, the body is adjusted by the software.
Yes.
Hey everybody who's just joined.
Yep, thank you, new viewers.
So what are we talking about? Just for those who've just joined.
Okay, so for that group that just joined, we're talking about animation. So we're animating with a video reference rather than with motion capture. And this is, we're animating a zombie that sniffs the ground. It's a tracking zombie, I guess. And Margaret in the background there is doing the reference video. And yeah, so we're watching Linda actually set up keyframes against that reference video.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you mentioned we've got 3. So this thing that you're dragging out at the moment, you're basically altering the joint angles, aren't you? Because you're rotating individual parts of the zombies.
Yeah.
And that's part of, I guess, on the right-hand side of the image, we've got the rig, the actual skeleton.
It's called human IK.
Yeah.
It's this one is Maya's function.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very easy to create rig and do the animation or transfer the animation from others. Just like the last video we talked about to transfer the animation from the mocap source. And today we are creating the keyframes based on our video reference. The big difference for the animation transfer from the mocap is from the mocap we collect all the keyframes. Just if you see the mocap resource, you can see it's full of the keyframes on the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And the animation is quite real because it's created by the human. But in here, we could just like create the realistic as the mocap animation. But the good thing is we can adjust the keyframes and do some changes, and it's not difficult then to adjust the too many keyframes on the timeline. So that's a good way to do this.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess one of the other advantages of doing it this way rather than doing it with motion capture is we can do things that humans can't. So we can sort of follow along and do the things that humans did. But if we wanted to rotate that zombie's head around, so this was like, what was that movie? That movie, you know that movie where the head rotates around? We could actually do that because we don't have to get somebody to do it. We can just manually do it. Of course, you can do that with motion capture too, but you have to go through the process that Linda goes through, scrubbing, getting rid of the keyframes and setting up your own keyframes in that space to actually do that. But for us, there's all sorts of unrealistic things we can actually do with the zombie, but keep it close to human. And that sort of, for us, that's a way to make things really, really creepy.
Yeah, there we go. So we've got the first basic movement.
Yeah.
Sorted.
Yeah.
It's raised their jaw and like see around everywhere.
And for those who want to know what human IK is, when Linda was talking about human IK, I believe the IK stands for inverse kinematics, which is kinematics is really about calculating the joint transforms or the joint position changes you need to go through to get from one position to another. Inverse kinematics is used frequently in robotics. So if you've got to get your robotic arm to some particular point, you have to be able to calculate all the ways that the various articulating parts are going to change in order to actually help you accomplish that, so that you get a smooth movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gosh, that sounded knowledgeable.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit knowledgeable. I did some robotics at university, so I know some stuff, or at least I've remembered enough stuff to sound intelligent. So.
Oh, that's all that matters.
I speak with a certain amount of made-up authority.
It'll do.
Oh.
Okay, so where are we at now?
Still on the keyframes. Because it's a long animation.
Okay, so we're adjusting the head now.
Yes.
Looks like I have two heads. Or that zombie has two heads.
Also looks like you're a chicken eating grain or something.
Well, you were directing me. To be fair.
Yeah, but I didn't get to move it backwards and forwards, you know.
Oh, I see.
I don't have that level of control over you. Yeah.
Oh, it's good that you acknowledge that.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting head down there. Maybe we should, skip forward a bit.
Yes, that's a good idea.
And let's see where I can skip forward to. Oh, okay. So this looks like we're starting to get the zombies' movement from the floor upwards. Ooh. Okay. Just the way he's twisted there, he's really starting to look creepy. So this isn't the full textured model you're working with. This is just, so this is one of our base zombies, I guess.
Yes.
Not textured or anything, just so that there's no distractions in it. You can just see everything that's actually happening in the movement of the thing. And the zombie this would be applied to, ultimately, is a particular zombie that we've got that's, I guess he's got a bit of a bony face, but some flesh still sort of over his cheeks and so forth.
Yeah, we haven't created that texture.
And he's noseless, so it's really funny that he's, the one that's actually doing the sniffing. Does have large sort of, holes, but no actual nose. And we're also assuming that zombie, we're not sure how we're showing it at the moment, but we're assuming that zombie was blind in life, so he'll probably be wearing a blindfold or something like that to indicate that he was blind.
Just got a comment there.
Oh, what did we get the comment? Filming reference videos must be so funny. Yes, it is hilarious.
Not so funny if you're the zombie, maybe.
It's more hilarious to direct than act in, I gather. And quite frankly, I just I do extra takes sometimes just because it was funny watching it the first time, and I'd like to see it again. But we do get to choose between those two takes so that we can
I'll bear that
choose
in
the one
mind.
that's best. It
For the future.
It won't affect your performance. You'll still have to do 2 takes if you need 2 takes.
I don't mind doing 2 takes where we need to do 2 takes.
And thank you. Somebody just followed us. Thank you very much for following us.
Who will do the
King Leon
reference for King Leon?
Actually, we probably need somebody that's a bit bigger and burlier than somebody that really...
Yeah, I think Lincoln could be.
Lincoln could be King Leon? I was thinking Ben Hogg, actually. Do you reckon he could be imposing and wield a double-handed sword and...
We'll ask him later.
Yeah. That's right, we're seeing him later, aren't we?
We are.
We are,
We
okay.
can have a like interview to choose the right character.
We should, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should audition everyone.
Yeah, so, okay, so we're actually bending ankles here. This is one of the...
I bent my ankle once, it didn't work out well.
No. So you needed that human IK rig. Linda could fix it for you then.
Yeah, just for some small parts I can just...
Just adjust it back. Nice.
Yeah.
That's really creepy when you watch how closely your movement and the dummy's movement actually go together.
And they match, yeah.
Actually, Margaret did a very good job.
I think so too.
Oh, thank you.
I think... No, this was very good. She completely stuffed up the other one, but you know, the
Oh,
zombie
wow.
war.
There we go. Looks like I've got my head up the zombie's ass. It does.
Okay, so what you've done now is you've turned off the visibility of the body, so we're only looking at the mesh,
Yeah.
so that you can actually see Margaret behind. Otherwise, it would be a difficult position to actually map.
Or you can drag the reference a little bit side, so you can just see.
Okay.
So it just depends. I just like through the body.
Yeah. What's sort of cool, you can see everything.
Yeah.
Looking straight through, you can see everything and how well it's actually matching up.
Yeah, or another way is you can just make the body mesh as a transparency mesh.
Mm-hmm.
Then also you can see the back.
Okay, so you can be looking through the zombie all the time.
Yes, but I prefer just on the lines.
Yeah.
It's because we have a hotkey for that, but for the transparency part, I don't set any hotkey to show that. So just choose the easy way to work with.
Now, one of the things I noticed here, so you're using the controllers, and they're basically just the standard controllers for changing the
Yes, rotation.
thing. But you can actually make compound controllers, can't you, that control more than one thing at once. So, so you might have something that when you smile, sort of not only changes the position of your mouth, but also raises your ears, or
Yes.
yeah. So
That normally is for the facial animation.
Mhm.
Just like we create the facial animation for the toy maker.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, it'd probably be good at some point to show, I guess when we're doing some facial animations for these guys, if we can show that process of creating a compound controller.
Yes, I need time to review it.
It's been a while since Toy Maker, I gather. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really long time not touch this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be plenty to do on the facial animations of zombies, but I guess the nice part about zombies for you is you don't have to do anything with lips, because mostly they're not there.
Oh yes.
So it's basically jaw.
Yeah.
And there's no eyes to move around, so I think we've got
got
one with that's still got some eyes, don't we, or a couple?
We have eyeballs in the zombie head, but we normally don't move the eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just turn the head.
Yeah, because the eyeballs are pretty much frozen and glossed over. They look like cataract eyes.
Yeah.
But one of them will have eyes that move.
We were thinking about to have an eyeball draw out of the jump out the eye hole, but we were thinking about maybe it's too horrible. So
All zombies should have these.
that's it.
Oh, not again.
Oh yeah.
Just like that.
Excellent.
All right, perhaps I should skip ahead further. Sorry, what was actually going on there on the background?
This one is like
Oh yeah, you can do it.
even Maya could produce the middle animation between two keyframes, but still it's not smart enough. So we need to bring this window is called animation curve editing.
Okay.
Editor. Yeah, it's like the red point. Red dot is about the keyframe. Tell you which keyframe is.
Okay.
And the middle, like those curves is called the animation curve. So we need to adjust the animation curve to make the middle animation smoothly. It's not just like the original one. It looks like wheels if you play the animation from the keyframe one to another one, and you will see. I think maybe we could see later, and just like suddenly the animation just play well. So then we need to know to.
Okay, let me see if I can go forward. Like this, we just need to play again and again and find some problem we cause. Okay. So that's what. All right. So we're looking purely at the zombie now. It's doing this stuff. Just like a basic. And of course the head does look a bit weird at the moment because we're not animating the face at all, we're just animating the body. If you see the head from this part, it's kind of like quick and just like a knot.
It is so weird to see my movements animated like that.
Yeah. It must be an experience for you to actually see all sorts of critters actually moving Margaret-like around.
Yeah, see me mapped onto a zombie. It's quite fucking awesome.
Yeah, now I'm just add this video just add into the layer so we could display it quickly. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's back to our animation curve again. Yes. And what part are you trying to smooth out? I think it's the head part, the neck. Currently is the hips. See here, and like it's just follow the line. Okay. So here you're sort of doing, I guess, it's spline editing to sort of smooth out that curve. Yes. And in fairness, when we smooth out these curves, it tends to be a little bit where we lose human movement, isn't it? And it becomes a little more smooth and... Yes. Yeah, so you would try to minimise the number of keyframes you lost or the amount of smoothing between keyframes during motion capture, because you actually want to capture every aspect of that human movement, and even the little ticks and changes and stuff, the unexpected stuff that's in there sort of makes it more human-like, because nothing really with a real human is smooth. But here we actually smooth it out, and quite important for our process when we actually get things animating in the game. That the start of the loop is the same as the end of the loop. Everything matches up, and things move smoothly. I said move smoothly.
I know. I was just going to check in with you about that funny error.
I think I had a mini stroke at lunch or something, and all this bizarre spoonerisms and stuff have started. Or is that beef salad?
Well, I had it too, and I'm fine. So.
Says you.
So far, so good.
Okay. So what's this complex curve that we're looking at now? So we've got many curves on there. Is that for... Are we looking at sort of every joint or something on that? Yes. It also includes the controllers, like the red cycle. Okay.
the recycle, normally we can just edit the translation movement.
Yep.
And for the yellow part, we normally just work on the rotation part.
Okay.
Oh, why is it stopped?
I don't know. Don't seem to. No. It's still going.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll push it forwards a bit further. Still have another whole video here.
It's kind of just like boring part, but actually it's very important.
Okay. If I start there, where you just...
Yeah, fix all these curves.
So you've got a spiky bit there. Is that a problem? Am I looking at a problem?
Oh, that one is
At
fine.
the top.
So
That
how
one's
can
fine?
you tell how those spikes are actually mapped to the movement? How can you tell how what you're doing is affecting the animation?
Normally I will just, if we play the animation and then I find this middle animation is just looks not natural, like suddenly maybe jump for a moment, and I will just typically searching for that time and see the animation curve if it cause some problem.
And you'll be able to see something weird in there.
Yes.
Now, I guess you're seeing on the screen at the exact point in the animation when things are going wrong, when you're making your changes, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be editing the keyframes either side of wherever that's gone wrong.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're actually looking back to matching it up with Margaret. She's peeking out from behind, having a quick look.
Yeah.
Out of the way.
Sometimes we will just delete or ignore some part, just like that. It look a little bit slightly.
Yeah.
Because we just need to create basic position or pose, and just will ignore some small part.
So she overacted here, really, and we just decided to tone it back a bit.
Oh, wow. You're going to have to up your directing game or something.
I knew Linda could fix it in post.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. You sure know how to motivate an actor.
It's just like after we create some keyframes, and if we need in the middle, we still need to add some pose. We could just insert the keyframe again and do some adjustment.
Okay.
Firstly, just like it's really like when you drawing if you draw something, and you will just draw from like a quick SketchUp, and then you will fix some part, and then you put on the the highlight and the dark part, and then you add more details, just one step by another.
Okay. All right, so should we skip forward again? What's the next part? Keep losing my... It's actually very hard to navigate the mouse and work out what screen it's on. So what's happening here? We're looking at it from the side so we can see... Oh, you're getting the hand positions right. So this is one of the difficulties of not using two reference videos, is it's hard to see from some angles just what the...
Yes, you need to change from the front view or side view. Even sometimes you need two view from the top.
Yeah. I suppose in time we should probably get ourselves set up like that so we can film from three angles at once.
Yeah.
Got our big mocap space over there. We should actually use that, I guess. Yeah, So what are we changing here? What's is it just her hand positions basically?
And also I think the hip part. If you change the hip, is you need to follow the gravity and think about because gravity and you should move the hip to which point. Like sometimes if you do the walking and running, and it's very important to drag the hip like from the left leg part move to the right part.
Okay. Okay, so you're looking at the rest of the body and finding out where the head should actually be to correct for gravity. So basically maintaining your own centre of gravity.
Yes.
I noticed a lot of little movements actually happening there, like you're adjusting the hands and stuff like that. But that really adds the richness to an animation, doesn't it? When you actually take care of every little thing on the sides as well. So.
Yes.
As well as moving the arms and legs, actually making sure the hands and fingers are in the right position.
Yeah.
We don't worry so much about the fingers with the zombies, do we? They're quite stiff-fingered, but but their hands are still expressive. Their hands still move.
Yeah. Because in the game, it's really hard to see about the fingers.
So I guess your process sounds like it's iterative. Like you start with something simple and then you go into more detail and you change things and you go in more details and you change things.
Yes, if you put lots of detail on the beginning, is not good for your adjustment. Just like if you keep the less keyframes, and it's easier to fix or edit the animation.
Yeah. Because when you were first doing it, we didn't see the hands move much at all. We saw you moving the arms out and so forth. But now you're actually paying attention to where the hands are actually going and moving.
Yes.
Okay. Shall we start the second video?
Yeah.
Which
Second
I think
video
was...
just adds more details.
So the second video, again, I've lost it.
Can we just play like speed up?
I really wish we could speed it up. How do we do that? I know, it's one of those technical jobs, isn't it? Okay, so we take that one down, and what we'll do is we'll start this one up in FLV, which I think I can actually change the play speed of.
If we speed up the video and we can see a very happy zombie dancing. Excellent.
Okay. No, that opened up in the wrong thing, so I want to open it with FLV, I think. So if I come back onto this screen. VLC was what I meant, not FLV. Don't want to open with FLV, that's flash. Okay, so this is it. I think if I push this onto that screen, you'll be able to see that going on behind us. And I'm getting confused between what's my menu and what's a Maya menu. Media playback. Speed.
Faster.
And I think we can go faster.
Yes.
Well, that's not quite full screen, but I don't see how to move it to full screen at the moment. Alright, so I'll come back onto this screen so we can see what's going on. Alright, so now we're watching some of the subtle head movements actually being changed here.
Yep.
So, I wonder what speed we're actually going at there. Does that look like double speed?
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, so is there anything in particular we need to pay attention to when we're making adjustments to the head? You mentioned gravity before as one of the things, but
yes.
what is it about the head that makes it so important?
Like the neck and the head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but with the controllers, actually they are doing the both joint at the same time, so it's fine to just keep running the controllers. But if you just without the controller, you have to adjust two joints, because if we move our head, it's not just our neck part, also for the head part still moving. Yeah, normally people just think.
Sorry, I'm making the movements as you're talking to me, so I probably look like I'm having a stroke.
Yeah, just sometimes sometimes people might will think when you move your hands or your arms, you will think maybe just those two parts you have some animation or some action.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, for this part, for the shoulder part, I can't see myself. So also have some movement. So that's the point we need. Sometimes we need to notice about. It's about not just the big movement you can see, also in hide some parts still need to make some movement.
Yeah, so when you're making the fine movements with fine things,
yes,
you're actually adjusting multiple things at once often.
Yeah, even it's for the whole body, have also for some change. Maybe it's a slightly change, but it's not just stand still, not move at all. Just like when you're standing there and do some idle animation, and maybe you think it's just standing still and the hip it's no move at all, but actually still from right to left and front back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And when we haven't got two reference videos, that front back thing is the part you've got to fiddle with the most, because it's harder to see.
Yes.
I guess. So I always think that the head is probably, it's one of those critical areas of the thing when you're doing it, because the head is sort of where the attention of the creature is. So when you're moving the head around, what you're really doing is moving where that creature's attention is. So you want it to be.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're doing the right thing for the situation that it's actually in.
Yes.
Yeah. So we often see those dramatic snaps of attention in movies. We see it a lot. In games we occasionally see it, where somebody steps on a twig or something and it goes crack, and you see the creature suddenly whip its head around or whatever. So in animation, you've really got to capture that what's happening is the creature's attention is moving, not just the head, and therefore the whole attitude of the body sort of goes with that.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so we're watching some more smoothing here. I guess.
Yeah, maybe we can just.
There seems to be a lot of the process is actually doing that smoothing. I like these bits where you get to see Margaret doing
Yes, I think.
the thing. So this is Margaret's new zombie dance craze.
Very odd thing to watch.
I think we should do that at some stage. We should produce a video of you and a zombie actually doing the Margaret dance.
Well, we're partway there now.
It's getting close. All right, so if I move my... Oh man, I think
I can't find it again.
the part I'm after is off the bottom of the screen, so I can't actually move it. There we go. So tell me where we're going. Oh, that was interesting. So we're actually looking side on at the zombie in this part.
Yeah.
This is to actually get the squat position. Now you haven't actually got a side-on view of Margaret doing this, so this must have been complicated to actually work out. But I can see you making adjustments for gravity there, right?
Yes.
So you're actually making sure that he doesn't look like he's in a position where he's going to fall over.
Yeah.
Because I actually did at one point, I think.
If you just edit the animation from the front view, and it's easily to cause the hips movement problem.
Yeah.
So you need to look from other side and think about, is it right or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the important thing is when you're telling a story like this, zombies are of course fantastical creatures. when you're telling the story, you actually want the fantastical to be realistic. And you don't want, because people have to suspend disbelief, so they have to have as much to believe in as possible in what you're presenting them.
Yeah.
So if you have a situation where the zombie looked like it should have fallen over, then that sort of takes people out of the immersion, which is completely contrary to what we want to do. I can remember a part in Lord of the Rings where I think it was the second movie where you see one of the characters. What was the elf character's name? I've forgotten his name.
Me too. I don't know why, I've seen them all
Legolas.
times.
So Legolas tries to mount a horse, but he grabs it sort of under the throat and throws himself over the top, and it was so unrealistic as a body movement that it completely threw me out of the thing. And I thought, how did they let that through post-production? So immediately I was thinking about the values of the person producing the film, or editing the film, rather than being immersed in the story. So for me, that was a really frustrating moment. And what I don't want to do is give anybody that in one of our games. I really want them to stay immersed. I really want them to appreciate that when that zombie squats down, he is actually a zombie squatting down there.
Yep.
Not looking and going, oh, he should have fallen over there. Look, he was leaning too far forwards or whatever.
It's jarring, and you pick it up subliminally, even if you
Yeah.
don't really pay too much attention to it consciously.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're seeing lots of body being adjusted now. So shall I skip forward again?
Yeah.
Every time I go to skip forwards, I suddenly see you do something interesting. I go, oh, we should stop and look at that. I saw the knee turned outwards there, briefly. Okay, that was funny. I'm going to watch that again. It is a dance move.
Yeah. What's the dance move?
The thrusting the chin out thing.
God.
Okay. Enough laughing at your expense.
I wasn't laughing at my expense.
When we're learning the animation in the school,
There's the chicken part.
we do some like walking animation practice,
Mm-hmm.
and we also need to shoot a lot of like reference,
Mm-hmm.
and just like we need different like motion, just like a happy walk or sad walk.
Excellent.
That's good. I
Cool.
can see Margaret doing the chicken pecking now.
Fuck. As instructed, to put my face down.
Yeah.
No, you've got your face too far up. No, you've got to put your face right down to the floor and sniff.
Yeah.
This is what I'm told.
I was right.
Yeah.
It actually looks really good. I'm quite proud of where this is going. Yeah. It's good stuff. So direction was good. Acting was good.
Yeah, I did a good chicken.
Well, we can double the use of this if we ever get to do a chicken run game.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Wow.
We have to contact that franchise and say, do you want a video game, mate?
But short reference is really fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I remember I did animation for a squirrel.
For a squirrel? Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And that squirrel, we also need to create reference, so I just pretend I'm a squirrel. Like, Ignace, Jonathan.
Very
Awesome.
good.
Do you have squirrels in China?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I never saw any squirrels in China. I'm gutted.
Oh, I used to see a squirrel just jump out from this tree to another, but it's in a temple.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How cool. I missed that. I have to go back to see the squirrels.
Oh, yesterday my friend said there was a hotel in China and kind of like motel, and the owner just had a squirrel pet.
Oh, cool.
I always thought they'd make cool pets, actually. They've got little personalities. That's what you want in a pet.
Well, yes, ideally.
I wonder if they're as as bossy as a cat. You know, a cat sort of rules everything even when it's doing nothing. You wonder if squirrels are the same. Squirrels are busier than cats, though. They
Squirrels
don't
are
just seem
very,
to spend
very
all their
busy.
time asleep. Yeah. All right.
Linda's cat's in charge, isn't it, Linda?
Yeah, my husband always want to train our cat to be a dog. Never stopped.
That's going to be difficult.
Yes.
Well, you could do it here.
All right. Where am I going, Linda? Oh.
You should transform cat into dog. Just a walking animation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at some of the results.
Yes.
And we can start seeing that some of those subtle movements are making a difference, the movements of the hands and the movements of the shoulders and the head at the same time.
I'm just try to create a smooth animation back to the first pose. Because we use the same pose as the last frame. So you need to bring the animation and stop on the same pose as the first frame.
Okay, so this is actually getting it towards the end, essentially, making sure that it stops where it started.
Yes, then we could have a loop.
Okay, so this doesn't necessarily have a lot of Margaret reference in it because Margaret didn't actually take one pose and go back to the original pose.
Yes.
So you've actually got to sort of fill that space in and still make it look like it's natural movement.
Yes.
So that sounds like quite a complicated job. So that how is that done? How do you actually
just make it looks nice?
So you basically grab sort of the first frame and you make it the last keyframe as well.
Yes, and then just add some middle frame between the last frame and to the end pose.
Do you make those frames from scratch, or do you actually copy another keyframe and start deforming it?
You mean the first one and the last one?
Yeah. So basically, where you decided that okay, this is the end of the animation. Now I want to go back to the I want it to deform back to the first frame.
Yes,
so I want it to look like the first frame.
We just copy the first frame to the end.
Okay. So you copy copy that first frame to the end. But when you're creating keyframes in the middle, are those keyframes copies of other frames, or you do each one by hand?
Yeah, do just create a new one. Just like to move to the middle and make a keyframe and then do some adjustment. Just press S.
Okay. So that sounds like it's quite an involved process actually getting that to happen, or quite a judgment-based process. So something where you've got to make a lot of judgment about whether this is realistic, whether he's doing the right thing.
Yes.
Because you just don't have Margaret to compare it to.
Yeah. But it's fun. Just need to think about how to go back from this pose to another pose, and just using. Sometimes maybe you need to play just similar as the same pose and think about how to go back to the exact pose.
So one of the cheap methods I've actually seen is people do the animation and then they do the animation backwards, and then they start taking stuff out and mixing stuff up in there to make that backwards one look like it wasn't completely backwards. Because if you just left it as going forwards and then going backwards, so it's sort of what do they call that? There's a bounce, I think they call it, where so you're doing exactly the same animations as you're doing in the first half and the second half, but you're doing them backwards to get back to the same keyframe. But it looks really unnatural when you see it happening. It looks really unnatural. So people
really unnatural.
use that as a basis sometimes, and then start
messing with the
messing with the second part,
Yes.
so that it doesn't look exactly the same as the first part. But it still get the same results. And you can cut out large chunks, of course, because you can return a lot faster than necessarily playing through the whole thing. Yeah.
like those mock-up animation, we also the most hard job is to make the first pose and the end pose same, or to make the idle animation and attacked or any animation for the first frame are similar or same. Also for the walking and the running, they should be same foot in the front. Just like if the walking is the right foot in the front, then also the running animation is need to follow at this pose.
Okay, can you explain why that is?
So when you blend with the two animation from the walking to running, blend in the Unreal or other engines, then it will smoothly to smoothly turn this walking animation to another running.
Yeah.
So it won't have some like jumping animation.
Yeah. So when I press the run button and we switch to running, it smoothly changes to the running because they've got the same first and last.
Yeah, they are not just like when you're working, they suddenly change to the
yeah, exactly. You don't want feet to suddenly flip around. You want to match up. Yeah. Okay, so more smoothing there. Should I zoom on a bit further forward?
Yeah, we've only got 5 minutes-ish.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, we got through that quite. I thought we were like halfway.
We can go to the last maybe few minutes and see the final.
Okay.
Awesome idea.
Go to the last few minutes.
Yes.
Tell me where. That looked like a good place to go to.
So you can see there's a lot of keyframes than before now.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of fast forwarding and zooming through. So how long has it taken you to get to this point from where you put the zombie and the model and the me together to where you have an animation that you're happy with? How long does it take? Or how long has it taken here?
For this one, like 2 hours or 3 hours. Yeah.
Cool.
It was 2 hours and 18 minutes, I think. Yeah, because
but in the middle.
I had to, we missed out some in the middle, I guess.
Yes.
But 2 hours and 18 minutes of video there that's sort of been compressed by us sliding forwards and all the rest of it.
Yes.
So it's not a job that takes forever. It's a job that's you can sort of come up with a nice zombie animation in half a day, or at least you can.
Yes.
Probably not viewers necessarily. Or...
Certainly not me.
Yeah.
I'd like to try that. Doesn't this look like something that you really want to have a play with?
Yeah,
the viewers out there might be really good at this.
If we have a really good animation reference, then we could create faster. Then we just have nothing.
Yeah. All right, so I'll skip forward just a little bit further. So let me come back and see where we are. So we've got like 2 minutes, so we'll shoot even further forward.
I think.
And see the very.
I am export the FPS.
Okay, so this is the export stage, so I've missed. So we need to pull it back a few minutes to see the final.
Yeah, I hope I did play the whole time for the place.
Oh yeah, we saw the subtle little head movements there, the little jiggle of the head. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, can't believe how well that looks like Margaret's original movements. Yeah. All right, well, I guess we've reached the end of today's stream, so that's, again, pretty information dense, but it's a very interesting topic, animation. So one of the things I guess we get the most queries about, so the people seem to be most curious about animation. So thank you very much, Linda, for leading us through that. Thank you very much for capturing your task on the desktop.
So cool.
Yeah.
No problem.
And I guess tomorrow, so we'll grab one of the other artists tomorrow and have a look at Nothing. Carry on.
But I think
So we'll get one of the other artists up tomorrow to have a look at something else. So we may have Sergi up, and we'll have a look at the start of the sculpting process, but also have a look at. He's done a little movie of some of the stages of texturing, so it doesn't actually take you all through the texturing, but it does actually show you the various layers of texturing. So I think that's probably a good thing to have a talk about, and have a look at one zombie. We're very proud of the demi-zombie, which is basically a zombie that doesn't have legs, essentially. So extra creepy, yeah. So unless anybody's got any questions, I think that's us done for the day. One of the things I'd love some feedback on is it's been suggested that something interesting for an additional stream, let's say we're going to do another hour during the day or something on some particular day, that we actually show Margaret playing one of my favourite games. So her learning it essentially. It's funny to watch because Margaret has a unusual temperament when she gets frustrated. That can be very entertaining. So we're thinking of trying that. Let us know if you've got any opinions on that. All right. So we'll catch up with you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. New Zealand time.
Or it should be the other way.
Bye for now. And as usual, you have to watch me fiddle around trying to get hold of my broadcasting software. Bye.